only a couple weeks out from Halloween. And what's the best part about Halloween? Candy. After that, scaring the absolute shit out of innocent children. But a close third is horror movies. So today, I'm giving you a list of my favorite movies to watch around Halloween. Now obviously this is a list of my personal favorite movies to watch around Halloween. So if you disagree, you're wrong. And no one will ever love you.
No, art is subjective.
F you for not agreeing. Who do you think you are, you coward? I should cut your f***ing fingers off! So if you disagree, that's totally okay. Art is subjective, and we are a film family here at Film Riot.
No.
But f you if you disagree, you piece of shit! Who do you think you are? So before we get started, these aren't in any particular order, mainly because I'm remarkably indecisive and putting these in an order of importance stressed me out, so. First up is 28 Days Later, directed by Danny Boyle and stars Cillian Murphy's penis.
What?
For me, this is one of the best zombie films, and one that changed the way zombie films were made going forward. Before this film, you had a few cases of fast zombies, but 28 Days Later brought a whole new, and for me, more terrifying way to handle the old movie monster. The film was shot almost entirely in chronological order, with only some pickups and a few reshoots that were shot out of sequence. Why is that important? It's not. But I read it on IMDb. Next up is The Haunting. This is an absolute classic, released in 1963, and based off of the Haunting of Hill House novel by Shirley Jackson. I was around 10 years old the first time I saw this one, and it still holds up to this day. Creepy, atmospheric, clever, and Martin Scorsese called this his favorite horror film, so if you don't like it, you're wrong. Speaking of The Haunting of Hill House, the Netflix show of the same name is my next pick. And I know, it's not technically a movie, but you could binge it for like 9.5 hours, and it's like pretty much a movie.
No, doesn't make it a movie at all.
So I'm keeping it. This show is amazing. Definitely one of my favorite horror narratives to come out in a long time. And it has a scare moment in there that's so startling, my soul left my body to have a shot of whiskey. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't, get on that. They also just released a new season called The Haunting of Bly Manor. They're going more the American Horror Story route with similar cast, all new story, and I love that. Moving on, we have The Orphanage, directed by J.A. Bayona, who went on to direct other excellent films like The Impossible and A Monster Calls.
He also directed Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Shut the f up, Ryan.
Okay.
There's a great sustained sense of dread throughout the film with a few great scares without ever feeling cheap, thanks to the character and the story first approach, which for me always makes the scary scarier.
Good.
Scarier? Next up is The Witch, directed by Robert Eggers, who is definitely one of the most interesting new directors right now, with his most recent being The Lighthouse, another very unsettling film in its own right. But this one, if you haven't seen it, is one of those horror films that strive to keep you deeply uncomfortable throughout the entire runtime. It's never loud about it, but instead takes its time to sink into that unsettling atmosphere. Now I have 5 more films, but before we get into that, we must pay those bills. Big thanks to our sponsor, Nanlite. We have shown and talked about their gear a lot this year and have used them as our main lighting for a while now. These Pavo tubes really are killer. You have the 1-footer, 2-footer, and 4-footer. And like Ryan has said, what I love about these lights is how sturdy they feel. They're really well built, so they can stand up to the abuse gear tends to get on fast-moving productions. Plus it's RGB, which means we don't have to use gels if we don't want. They also have really solid battery life, but you can also plug in for consistent power as well, so no worries about running out of battery. You can sync them together using the app to build out plenty of configurations and use scenarios. So if you're looking for some new lights, definitely check out the link in the notes below.
And now, on with the show.
Jumping back to the horror, my next pick is It Follows. This movie has a scene that made me almost swallow my tongue. And of course, horror is subjective, so some people might not think that this is scary, but for me, this almost made me transition into another dimension. So if you haven't seen this, grab a tub of popcorn and a therapist and pop this on. Moving on down the horror conga line, we have The Ring, which is one of those films that immediately infected pop culture and gained iconic status. Similar to films like The Sixth Sense and Scream, it birthed a ton of copycats and spoofs. Of course, this was a remake of the Japanese film Ringu, and while Verbinski stayed incredibly close to the original, almost feeling shot for shot at times, the remake was a bit more effective for me. And the cinematography is gorgeous, so bonus. Then we have Hereditary, directed by Ari Aster, who is another one of the most interesting new filmmakers right now. This one has an excellent performance from Toni Collette and Alex Wolff, and it's one of the most consistently unsettling on this list. Ari Aster drags you through this movie by your hair in the best kind of way. Is that weird to say?
Yeah, but you already said it.
So. Yeah, I did. Well, it is remarkably well made and has some creepy ass moments alongside some what the actual f moments. But it's definitely a great movie to watch with friends.
I'm not... Is it?
No, don't watch this with anyone. Don't watch this. Moving on, we have It from 2017, which is probably the most fun ride of a movie we have on this list. It plays like a coming-of-age adventure packed with horror. And when the horror moments hit, they hit hard. It's a blast of a movie with one of the best horror villain performances by Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Odds are you've probably seen this, but I don't f***ing care. And the last movie we have today should be obvious, and that is the granddaddy of horror, The Exorcist. When it came out in 1973, it was wrapped up in plenty of controversy, with Linda Blair even receiving death threats from people who believed the film glorified Satan. There were also reports of people vomiting or fainting during screenings of the film. And all of that, I'm sure, played a part in it becoming and remaining Warner Brothers' highest grossing film when adjusted for inflation. And it was the first horror film to be nominated for an Academy Award. It's basically the Citizen Kane of horror, so if you haven't watched it, you know, do. But that's all the movies I have for you today. I'd love to know what your Halloween list is, so post that below. And I'm not sure how to end this, actually. So I'm just gonna go.
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
See you guys later.
No. No.
Yeah.
Close out the episode.
No.
Just do the closeout. We're
No.
almost done. You were doing so good.
No.
Just finish it.
I'm done.
Just go over there and finish
Yeah, but
it. You just
but
have to
my
do the
part
anything.
is done.
Make film challenge, and then the closeout right should repeat. That's all
Look,
you have to do.
you already told him. That's awesome.
What do you mean I haven't done anything?
You just so good.
I'm not on camera. Just go.
I'm not on camera anymore either. You see my point?
So if you're entering the Make Film Challenge, don't forget that the deadline is October 23rd. So make sure you go to filmright.com/makefilmchallenge and get your film submitted before then for a chance at prizes and developing your first feature film.
No, dude, that's awesome.
At least just go.
You already did it. You did it. Great job.
Until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat. This is ridiculous.
You nailed that ending, bro.